is Amhara Media Corporation English Service and you're watching our daily updates. I am Gaila Damu. Stay tuned. Spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Meles Alam, said the visit of the Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Slovenian Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon to Ethiopia demonstrate Ethiopia's encouraging path to expedite re-engagement and normalize its relations with its partners. Modamuluye tells us more.
A high-level delegation led by Slovenia's Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Tanja Fajon has been conducting a 3-day official working visit to Ethiopia. The main purpose of the visit is to strengthen relations between Ethiopia and Slovenia. Fajon has so far held discussions with various high-level government officials, including Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Demeke Mekonnen, on bilateral and other international issues of common concern. Prime Minister of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, will also pay a 2-day official visit to Ethiopia in the upcoming Friday and Saturday. The visit is aimed at deepening the partnership between the two countries. Spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs pointed out that the high-profile European officials' visit to Ethiopia is also a recognition of the country's efforts to ensure lasting peace in the country.
One of the objectives of diplomatic endeavors is increasing the number of partners and friends across the globe. We will intensify our diplomatic activities to realizing this objective. The interest being observed now by several countries is the result of the diplomatic and re-engagement efforts so far made by Ethiopia. Countries give special attention to the relationship with Ethiopia as it is a big country that is key to the peace and the stability of the Horn of Africa.
Ambassador Meles further said the European Union Foreign Affairs Council will hold a meeting on April 24, 2023 and is expected to pass positive resolution about Ethiopia. He added Ethiopia is enjoying good relations with the European Union and the two sides are working to further strengthen their ties. The spokesperson further stated that in the coming days, officials from different countries will continue to visit Ethiopia. The briefing also included information on the various forums and expos to be held in Ethiopia and other countries that are aimed to promote business opportunities in Ethiopia and convince investors to make Ethiopia their ideal destination. Meles said this demonstrates that Ethiopia is a strategic country and has been playing a great role in ensuring peace and stability in the region, noting that this is the result of activities carried out in the area of diplomacy.
Finance Minister Ahmed Shide called upon American companies to invest in Ethiopia. Abebe Burhani has the details.
He also expressed a brighter window of growing Ethio-US business and investment collaboration. The minister made the remark at the Ethio-US Business Forum held in Washington, D.C. on Wednesday. The forum brought key Ethiopian and U.S. investors and corporate leaders to explore the abundant investment potentials in Ethiopia. Ethiopia's finance minister mentioned a wide range of measures taken by the government, such as the National Ease of Doing Business Initiative, the revised commercial law, the newly launched Public-Private Partnership Program, Comprehensive Privatization and Liberalization Program. He reaffirmed Ethiopia's determination to bring sustainable peace, stability and economic development. Ethiopian Investment Commissioner Lelise Neme presented the conducive investment opportunities in Ethiopia, including mining, agro-processing, construction, energy, tourism, technology and manufacturing. She said that this is high time to invest in Ethiopia, emphasizing the government's multifaceted initiatives. Ethiopia's ambassador to the U.S., Ambassador Seleshi Bekele, on his part expressed Ethiopia's readiness to support investment and trade flow through promoting opportunities that exist in Ethiopia, brokering knowledge that magnify and facilitate investment, and also providing better services for investors. President and Chief Executive Officer of the Corporate Council on Africa, Florizeli Lizer, reassured her office's unwavering commitment to link U.S. investors with Ethiopian counterparties and facilitate an increasing U.S. investment in Ethiopia. Several participants expressed their satisfaction by the forum content and commit for more investment in Ethiopia.
The Intergovernmental Authority on Development, IGAD, has called on countries in the East Africa region to mobilize adequate resources from the government treasury, the private sector, and development partners to respond to the drought situation in the region. Brown Workna tells us more.
IGAD Drought, Disaster Resilience and Sustainability Initiative Coordinator Edmialem Shetaye told INA that starting from 2010 and 2011, some 47 million people have been highly food insecure and affected by drought. He added climate change phenomena like El Nino and La Nina have continued to affect the region. According to him, 70% of the IGAD region is arid and semi-arid, making it vulnerable to natural calamities like drought and flood. He stated that the current drought is a result of lack of rain that has failed for the last 5 consecutive seasons. The pastoral and agro-pastoral areas of Ethiopia, Somalia, Kenya and other countries of the IGAD region have a huge number of populations affected by the drought. He said Somalia is totally affected, and in Kenya 23 out of 47 counties have been affected by drought. He elaborated in Ethiopia South Omo of the southern region, Borana, Guji and the eastern part of Oromia region as well as some 9 zones of Somalia region have been affected. He noted, as a result, a significant number of the human population in the Horn of Africa is seriously affected and huge livestock resources have died. This is very catastrophic. For Edmialem, the population requiring humanitarian assistance is currently very big in the region where the magnitude of the drought effect is colossal. Therefore, countries in the IGAD region, donors, the private sector, and development partners should respond to the crisis not like before and mobilize resources in a coordinated manner.
We have lost a considerable amount of livestock resource, which is really sad, but not to lose the human life. I really appeal the donors and development partners to reach in saving the human lives. That is one. In contrast, the countries really need to also mobilize adequate resources from the government treasury, from the private sectors, from the development partners in a coordinated manner, so that we can mitigate and we can take appropriate measures to respond to the drought episode in the country.
In this respect, the coordinator stressed the need for coordinated emergency response and mechanism to reach the needy at grassroots level. He also urged the East African nations to mitigate the ongoing effects of drought and develop strong early warning systems.
I strictly advise the country need to establish an emergency trust fund so that it can be mobilized whenever there is a need to address to the vulnerable groups in timely manner. So this is my advice to the countries to mitigate the natural hazards like drought in a proper manner.
He mentioned Ethiopia as a good example that has developed a strong early warning system. However, Edmialem urged revisit of the system to bring tangible change on the ground as the early warning response is not active and dynamic. On the other hand, IGAD Executive Secretary Workner Gabayu said in a statement he issued last week, the consequences of the drought are characterized by severe water and pasture shortages. He pointed out that 1 million people are displaced and over 10 million livestock and wildlife have died, with reduced crop and livestock production. On top of this, food insecurity has been increasing. Workner also called on international partners and countries in the region to prevent future disasters from having such severe impacts.
Foreign Affairs spokesperson Meles Alam said a delegation from the Global Black History, Heritage and Education Center based in London, has arrived in Addis Ababa with a view of establishing headquarters that cherishes Pan-African values. Modo Moulier presents the story.
In his bi-weekly briefing, the spokesperson told journalists a group of scholars, writers, historians and black rights activists are in Ethiopia in a historic move to launch headquarters of the Global Black History, Heritage and Education Center in Addis Ababa. Mellis noted that the institution is interested in making Ethiopia a center of Pan-Africanism movement.
This institution wants to open its headquarters in Ethiopia. There are a number of factors that international institutions like this consider when opening their headquarters. The decision and the visit have considered the contribution of Ethiopia to Africa and the freedom of the black people in general.
እንደዚህ አይነት ዓለም አቀፍ ተቋማት መቀመጫቸውን ለመክፈት ሲወስኑ ከግምት የሚያስገባቸው በርካታ ነገሮች አሉ።
During their stay in Ethiopia, members of the delegation will meet various government officials and hold discussions in different places. Responding to a question regarding the Great Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, the spokesperson said the construction of the dam will not affect any riparian countries. According to him, the dam has multiple benefits not only for Ethiopia but also for the riparian countries, and Ethiopia is working to solve differences through negotiations under the auspices of the African Union. With respect to the more than 100,000 Somali refugees that entered Ethiopia, Mellis said this is normal as Ethiopians too go to neighboring countries when faced with troubles. The government of Ethiopia has therefore been working with international organizations to provide support for the refugees from Somaliland. The spokesperson noted that Ethiopia has a record history of hosting refugees, so it provides generous support for them from its limited resources.
Agriculture State Minister Professor Iyasu Elias disclosed that Ethiopia has been preparing to plant 6.3 billion seedlings during the upcoming rainy season as part of the National Green Legacy Initiative. Brown Workana has more on it.
The state minister in charge of the Natural Resource Development Division told the media that the country has already prepared 5.4 billion seedlings. Out of the total 6.3 billion seedlings, 45 are trees, while the rest 55% are fruits, animal fodder and other vital plants. He said over the last 4 years, some 25 billion seedlings, including trees, fruit and cattle feeds, have been planted as part of the National Green Legacy Initiative. The initiative, launched in June of 2019, has been helping Ethiopia to building a green and climate resilient nation, rehabilitating degraded land across the country. The state minister noted tree planting has also been becoming a culture among Ethiopians as more than 30 million people participate every year in the tree planting activities. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has received the Outstanding African Leadership Award for his Green Legacy initiative designed to reforest the country and help the nation enhance its agricultural activities.
You're watching Amhara Media Corporation English service, and now let's proceed to news beyond borders. The US dollar suffered a sharp decline on Wednesday following the release of data that revealed consumer price in the United States rose less than anticipated in March. The unexpected result has prompted experts to speculate that the Federal Reserve may halt its rate hiking efforts, possibly after a rate increase in May. The implications of this latest development are significant, as the Fed's monetary policy decisions can have a major impact on the global economy. Last month's consumer price index CPI only saw a 0.1% climb, falling short of economists' forecasted 0.2% gain and marking a decrease from the 0.4% rise observed in February. Over the 12 months leading up to March, the CPI increased by 5%, which represents the smallest year-on-year gain since May 2021. By comparison, the CPI had risen by 6% on a year-on-year basis in February, as Africa News reported. Tunisian police used tear gas on Tuesday to disperse about 100 African asylum seekers and migrants who had been camping outside the headquarters of the United Nations Refugee Agency in the capital Tunis for some 25 days. In an open letter, the group from 15 sub-Saharan countries said they had taken refuge near the building after being chased out of several Tunisian cities following a February speech by President Kais Saied slamming illegal immigration. But local residents were not happy with their presence, saying they were blocking the passage and that people could no longer leave their homes. On 3rd April, the agency in Tunisia announced on its Facebook page that it had stopped all registration and pre-registration activities from 31st March to 17th April due to migration of the registration and identity system, as Africa News reported. Nakuku County lies within East Africa's vast Rift Valley. Hundreds of thousands of people here are suffering from acute water shortage, made much worse by drought. Abebe Brahani presents Africa News reports.
Nakuru County lies within East Africa's vast Rift Valley. Hundreds of thousands of people here are suffering from acute water shortages made much worse by drought. Volcanic and tectonic activity in the rift started about 30 million years ago, and the area is still geologically active with volcanoes, hot springs and geysers. Now local communities here are embracing these local resources. In Iburumu Baruk, volcanic activity makes it dangerous to dig wells, and loose soil and low water tables mean they collapse very quickly. Local residents now embark on a long and laborious process of searching for geysers. Where the geysers look as though they might produce water, the villagers dig 5 feet below the ground and trap the steam, which condenses into water. The source of water here led to the Camp Brethren Christian School, setting up its secondary school at this location. The school's accountant, Paul Ndutu, says,
when we first set up our primary school, we had a lot of problems with water, and that's why we chose this place as a site for our secondary school. The steam water is all year round. We also supplement it with rainwater, but rainwater comes during the rainy seasons, and after some time it gets depleted. But the steam water runs throughout, and also it is safe for drinking.
The bigger the pipes and tanks, the greater amount of water can be collected. Freshwater rivers are few and far between, and without the geothermal tanks, people would be forced to walk long distance to collect water. The pipes are connected to huge slanting tanks above the ground where steam condenses to water. To increase the amount of steam condensing, the tanks are lifted with long slanting metallic pipes through which cold air enters the tank, condensing more steam to water and also allowing residual steam to escape. The residents mainly use aluminium sheets to construct pipes and tanks because the material does not rust. Lake Nevasha, a freshwater lake in Nakuru, is heavily polluted by neighboring flower farms and cannot be used for domestic purposes. Local resident Douglas Chegi says, the area is so much contaminated. They have the greenhouse around that area and this water is running toward that lake.
The area is so much contaminated. We have the greenhouses around that area, and this water is running toward that lake, When we get that water from that, the water will be it's more much contaminated for us to use in our domestic. So that the government has come up with this point of just getting this water.
But it is unclear whether demand for water can be met using this system. Another resident, Patricia Nyaguti, says,
we use this water because we do not have rivers and no clean lake water, so we depend on this one. Though it is clean water, it is very little and it is not enough. But we do not have any other source of water. It's been a long time since it rained.
Kenya Electricity Generating Company, an electric power plant in the region, does provide piped water, but residents says it is untreated and exposes them to waterborne diseases. Since only a few locations have enough steam to be tapped, the government of Kenya has allocated communal land where villagers harvest steam. Stephen Okos, a geologist at the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation, explains the cause of geothermal steam jets. He says the seismic activity creates cracks in the Earth's crust.
Then these rivers disappear in these fractures. That is why you are not able to see any river. But the water is coming from a Mau area and then is flowing into these fractures. So it is renewable as long as there is still rain in the Mau and the water is flowing.
It is good news for residents who rely on geothermal steam for clean and safe water.
That's all the news we have for today. I'm Gaila Damu. Thanks for watching and stay tuned with the rest of our programs.